I was just at my local hardware store. They're having this killer sale. I had to buy some other stuff. And then I saw this product. And I've heard a lot of good reviews about this tool. Multifunctional. Not only is it a good tool just to own, just for home repair and stuff like that, but then also for SHTF, WROL, bugging out, etc., etc. So what we're looking at today is the Knipex. It's Knipex. I don't know how you say it. I'll call it Knipex. Made in Germany. They're the 8-inch mini bolt cutters, the Power Cut Series 200 millimeters. This is the tool, and like I said, I just took this out of the package, and I thought it would be a cool video just to kind of do a first impressions test, I guess, and maybe a little bit of philosophy behind why you'd want this. So real quick, the packaging, it's pretty minimal. These were just kind of in here like that. It says Knipex Cobalt Compact Bolt Cutters. Induction hardened blades cut ACSR, steel, and piano wire. Lever action provides increased 20-to-1 cutting power ratio. And then it has it in other languages on the back. Warning, do not use this on live circuits. Always wear eye protection. And then it has, I don't know exactly how you read it. It's the 8-inch, 200 millimeters, but then for the cutting specs, I want to say like mild steel, you can cut almost a 1/4 inch or 6 millimeters. A little bit harder steel, you can cut 0.205 inch or 5.2 millimeter. And then the hardest stuff, you can only cut 3.6 millimeters or 0.142 inches. Center cut blades for heaviest applications. The recess in the blade allows easier cutting of thicker wires. And that's about it. So like I said, I got these on a killer sale. Normally, actually for a quality made tool from a very high quality company, normally these go for about $50 to $55. They have a few different models. And personally, I don't find that expensive when you're talking about high-end tools. But when I got these, I got them for almost 50% off. I got them for about $28. So I was pretty stoked about that, and I'm pretty excited for this review, and I'm really excited to own this pretty cool multifunctional tool. So it just says Knipex, Germany, made in Germany. It has the model number, CRV, capacity, piano wire, 3.6 millimeter. Do not use on live circuit. Okay, so just warning. So these are called bolt cutters, and to a lot of you guys, you might be like, no, when I think of bolt cutters, I think of something like this. And truth be told, this is kind of my first pair of bolt cutters. I got them mostly because they fold in half like this to make them a little smaller. So like, I just use kind of bucket boss type tool bags, and these can fit right in the bottom, and you kind of forget that they're there until you need them. I believe these are 18-inch bolt cutters. So I mean, they are quite a bit bigger. When you open them up, you can see the jaw capacity is quite a bit bigger, and then it has the same type of action. I'm not going to get into the physics behind it and act like I know what I'm talking about, because I really don't, but it has kind of the same physics behind both. So the advantage you're getting with these is pretty much just more leverage because you have a longer handle. But this thing, I forgot to bring the scale out with me. These probably weigh 3 to 4 pounds. So for keeping in a car, just keeping in your workshop, they're just fine. They're compact and everything, but like, they are heavy, and they do take up a lot more space than these, but they can also cut larger wires. So I apologize in advance. I don't have any padlocks or stuff like that to rip through. But I just have some common hardware to maybe give you some perspective. Is I have a pair of these are 6-inch diagonal cutters, and I have a pair of Power Master Taiwan made linesman pliers. They're not high quality, but this is just the pair I own. And I have these. So I'm going to start with something easy. This is like a 12-penny nail, I think. So I'm going to start with these diagonal cutters. Oh man, I'm putting almost all my effort. And it's not cutting it, and it's not designed to. So that's just what I wanted to show. You could risk chipping the blade and stuff like that. And this is like the smallest stuff I have. So these are kind of out of the picture. These linesman pliers. They made a small dent, and then afterwards you probably bend it and break it, but it didn't cut through. So next, we'll talk about these. Now, one downside to these is if you're doing something handheld, this 18-inch pair of bolt cutters is a two-handed operation. So sometimes what I do is brace one of the handles up against my chest, right after it's in there. I guess all I could say is point this in the safest direction, so because sometimes they do fly, but it is kind of just a pain getting it in there, but these cut. Now let's just use the same nail. Like I said, this is like a 12-penny or maybe 16-penny nail. No problem. I was cutting a little bit slower because, ooh, that's sharp down there. So let's move on to, this is a Torx head. It's like a 4-inch screw, pretty common. So again, I'm not going to use these for every test, but just to give perspective, these I'm bearing down, not cutting. These bearing down, not cutting. And I mean, I'll leave it at that. Those tools aren't designed to cut stuff like that. They're designed to cut wire, and they do that just fine. So now, especially like if you're doing construction or something, and so the head on that one popped just because this is harder. Surprisingly, it took quite a bit of effort. I'll do that once more. Well, actually not that much. So I'll use the same screw and use the Knipex. I'll just go down a little bit. So I mean it, well, didn't really fully cut there. The thing is, I'm using, there's a small notch in the blade, so if I go a little farther up, it cuts all the way through. I did have to bear down quite a bit, but it cut through. So let's move on to these nails. Are a little bit bigger. The first ones I was using were these. These ones are, I think, 16-penny. So just because I have it, I'll start with these. I'll open them full capacity. So I will say that these actually, they take more effort than some people say. But The difference is the whole time you're squeezing, you're feeling the pliers closing or the jaws closing, and that's because of that action there. So it's not like you're just holding it here the whole time. If you can see, the jaws are slowly closing and they cut. You know, I could repeat with these. Probably all you guys will know what the outcome is. Just fine. One thing I wanted to try, these are like aluminum. They're really old. They're like aluminum, hardened aluminum or something. They're a special type of nail, but they're like aluminum. But as you can see, no problem whatsoever. I have some other random stuff down here. This is like pegboard. So this is kind of a medium wire, and it's pretty thick. It's probably what they stated, close to 1/4 inch thick, maybe a little. No, it's less than that. But so that just flew. As you can see, it leaves a pretty clean cut. Or maybe not that clean, but it's common for bolt cutters. And that's probably like a small padlock would be probably something like that. I have some machine screws. These are like maybe 1/4 inch mild steel. I'm going to quit using these big cutters because I'm showing that they have just about the same cutting strength, if not more. They probably have more. So it cut almost all the way through, enough to just tear it off if you cut it more by the head. Oh, they flew off. This is like a steel shackle, or 2 of them actually. So this is probably, if you're cutting a small padlock, it would probably be something like this. So 2 different sizes. I'll start with the small one. And I apologize, I don't know if this is probably like a mild carbon steel or maybe medium carbon, but it's not hardened or anything because that would just be kind of dumb. But if you can picture this curved part being like a padlock, went through just fine. But I mean, if this was a padlock, you'd probably have to cut it twice. I mean, you can really bear down on these, but you know, don't be fooled that you just like barely squeeze them and they cut. Like I said, these are brand new, so maybe this coating over time it wears off and makes it easier. I'm not sure. Pretty thick wire. It's like single, but it's stranded in the middle. And I mean, if you had to cut it, see, it doesn't cut all the way through, but like I said, not really designed to, and it gives like a rough cut. What you're supposed to use is a pair of cable cutters. I don't have those, but you can see with like diagonal cutters, you don't go all the way to the bottom. Diagonal cutters work better, give it a cleaner cut. And like I said, this is like the size of a coaxial cable, 8 gauge wire. And then I just have standard, this is like 14 or 12, 14-2 wire. Like I said, again, these aren't wire cutters per se.